The sun shines bright in the old Kentucky home. 'Tis summer and the old folks are gay. The corn tops ripe and the meadows in the bloom, while the birds make music all the day. The young folks roll on the little cabin floor, all merry, all happy and bright. By and by, hard times come knocking at the door, then my old Kentucky home, good night. Weep no more, my lady, oh, weep no more today. We will sing one song for the old Kentucky home, for the old Kentucky home far away. The sun shines bright in the old Kentucky home. 'Tis summer and the old folks are gay. The corn tops ripe and the meadows in the bloom, while the birds make music all the day. Weep no more, my lady, oh, weep no more today. We will sing one song for the old Kentucky home, for the old Kentucky home, far away. Well, the old Kentucky home, the old Kentucky home, where I'm from, where you're all from. Nah, we're not from Kentucky, but we can imagine it a nice rural farm origin story. Why was I thinking about Kentucky? Well, first of all, good evening. I'm Ethan. That's my name, Ethan Hirschenfeld. Follow the bouncing finger. Ethan Hirschenfeld. This is the No Show. This is the No Show, which happens every single night at 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 6 p.m. on the West Coast, 3 p.m. in Hawaii, and 3 a.m. in Stockholm, Sweden. The No Show. Welcome to this newest episode. If you're watching live, everything that's happening is happening for the first time ever. If you're watching it later on a playback, it's already happened. But you can give yourself the illusion of spontaneity like we used to do back in the days of old, when there was an important Knicks game on. And there was cable TV. This is in the mid 80s when Bernard King was the star and Ernie Grunfeld was hitting the occasional foul shot, and Trent Tucker was shooting his 3-point shots. And you could tell everybody not to tell you what happened in the basketball game because MSG Network would replay the game at like 11 at night. So you had to make sure that no one told you what happened so that you could have the illusion of spontaneity. You could enjoy the drama of the game, even though the results were all already in. That's what I'm saying with this show. You can watch this on replay. Just don't find out from anybody else how this show ends. This is a half-hour show. There's always a cliffhanger, and there's always a lot of narrative tension in my shows. There are a lot of twists and turns, surprise endings, red herrings, false leads. It's basically a whodunit every night. My old Kentucky home, good night. La 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 la. I gave myself a haircut. Let me explain what happened. I had an audition today for the role of a judge on a TV show. So I decided the judge should have neat hair. So I did it myself. I used the clippers. I did it's a 6 on the side. That's a number 6. That's an 8 on the top. So you got a 6 and an 8. And then just to be real fancy, I then used a 7 in the interstitial area between the 6 and the 8, I used a 7 to try to get a little fade action. I know it just ends up looking like a crew cut, and then I used a double mirror to look at the back to make sure I didn't miss any big tufts. Blue Lady, hello, I'm glad you're here for the mystery. As you know, at the end of each episode, I solve the mystery, but I leave a little breadcrumb for the next one. It's like a serialized novel in the 19th century. You have a Kentucky home, Dawn. Wow, amazing. Is it in Louisville? Louisville? The young row, little cabin floor, all merry, all happy and bright. By and by, hard times come a knocking at the door. Then my old Kentucky home, good night. Hard times knocking at the door. Weep no more, my lady. So, weep no more, my lady. You know, this is a new character in the song. This lady appears out of nowhere. It's kind of interesting. You thought it was just someone singing about their Kentucky home, and then suddenly he's singing to a lady to stop weeping. Weep no. Karen, you didn't realize that there's an answer at the end of every show? You got to go back and watch all 370 episodes and see how it's tightly plotted. Weep no more, my lady, oh, weep no more today. We will sing one song for the old Kentucky home, for the old Kentucky home, far away, far away, far away. So, it's a song of longing. It's a song of displacement. It's a song of nostalgia. It's a nice song. It's from 1852. It's an oldie. Stephen Foster, 1852. My old Kentucky home. Here come to judge. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I misread that at first. I thought you said we're here to be judged. Oh, I got to tell you. So right nearby here in Provincetown, there's a lot of theater that happens in the summer. A lot of theater. And quite a bit of it is drag. And there was a poster I saw for a new show that it looks awesome. So it's a drag performer playing the character of B. Arthur. And the title of the show is, and it's a picture of the the actor or comedian who's playing B. Arthur in the full B. Arthur makeup. Golden Girls, B. Arthur. You see her face and the title of the show. She has a kind of scowl on her face, and the title of the show is B. Arthur is Judging You. I think that's an awesome title. I laughed when I saw the poster. B. Arthur is Judging You. That's the name of the one-person show. I'm going to try to see it. I think it's playing in August. I have a longing for donuts. Oh, Richard, I'm with you. I have a longing for donuts all the time. I think donuts are ambrosia. They're the food of the gods. Greatest food known to humankind, and I haven't had one in several years. Well, that's not true. They do make a vegan version. They make various outlets make vegan donuts, and I've had some good ones. Donut Plant, which is in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, they make a pretty good one. The best donut in the world, in my opinion, and I ate a lot of donuts. I did a lot of quote unquote research on the quality of donuts. And I think the greatest donut in the world is made by Peter Pan Donuts on Manhattan Avenue in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. Peter Pan. If you're ever in New York or in the New York area, I recommend it if you're not vegan, because I have lobbied them to come up with a vegan option. And they're open to the idea, but they have limited shelf space and limited bandwidth. And, they're not doing it yet, but that's the greatest donut in the world. Peter Pan Donuts. Sock that away. somewhere in your noggin. Sock that in your noggin so next time you're in New York, you don't miss it. Peter Pan donuts. My old Kentucky home, good night. Chocolate cake donut with chocolate frosting. You want to know something? That's the one that I go for, the vegan one at the donut plant. They have a chocolate one. It's pretty good. But it's like Valhora, Valparadiso, Valor. It's something that the type of chocolate. I can't remember the name. It starts with a V. And it's a little too much on the dark chocolate end of the spectrum in terms of the taste profile, the flavor profile. It's a little bit on the bitter end. It's not bad. It's very good, but it's, man, for me going vegan, the challenges were cheese because of pizza and donuts, really. But I cracked it a few years ago. We no more Kong Don's Donuts in Wells, Maine is awesome too. Okay, shout out to Congdon's Donuts in Wells, Maine. Very nice. B. Arthur, according to Karen, was in the Marine Corps Reserves. That's amazing. Wow. B. Arthur in the Marines. Weep no more, my lady. Yes, I said I got a haircut, and someone said, which hair did you cut? That's an old one. That's an oldie and a goodie. Cortapelo, cortapelo. I think in Spanish they say it also a cortapelo. So it's singular. You get a haircut. But in Italian, I remember I made a mistake because I was just learning Italian, and I said to someone in Italian that I got my haircut, but I clearly had said it in the way that makes it sound ridiculous, like you got a single haircut. I don't remember how I said that. Weep no more, my lady. Oh, weep no more today. La 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 la. So, yeah, why was I thinking about Kentucky? Because some of my friends in a group text, were mentioning Andy Bashir as a possible running mate or possibly on the ticket. Apparently, he's the governor of Kentucky. I don't know the guy, never heard of the guy, and my point was just on name recognition that might be a challenge. But then my friend made a point that by the end of August, everybody will know the name of whoever the hell's on the ticket, which is really the truth. And also, my second point was I looked at a photo of him. I think that's who this was. I said I don't think we need any pasty white guys on the ticket, but spell correct. Change it to pastry. We don't need any pastry white guys. But my friends knew what I was talking about. But then I thought that's not a bad description of a pastry. We don't need a pastry like the Pillsbury Doughboy. We don't need any. Honestly, I'm excited about the idea of a ticket that's honestly younger, less white, and less male. And any ticket that can win, that can defeat the menace, the sexual predator, the fraud, the convicted felon. We can't have him. We can't have him back. So any ticket that's gonna beat him. Okay, that was my old Kentucky home. Oh, let me say one other thing before I move on musically. I swam again today. Took yesterday off, I believe. So my last time I was out, I did 624 strokes. Today I did 707 strokes. 707. Why? I just thought I'm going to swim down to the jetty and all the way back, and whatever comes first, getting back or the number 700. So before I was back, I got to 700, and then I thought I'm just going to go to 707 because it seems like a memorable, fun number. But then, so 707 was how many strokes of butterfly I swam today. I feel like I've kind of reached almost the distance that I'm going to need to do on September 7th. But I'm going to keep going and increasing because maybe I have to get to 800 or 900. Anyway, and I think it'll be fun once to do 1,000 strokes. It'll be a nice nice benchmark, landmark. No, there's another word I'm thinking of. Not a signpost, not a guidepost. It'll be a nice. Weep no more, my lady. Oh, weep no more today. Yes, no more pastries. Bernie VP. Madonna. So we're going to switch from an 81-year-old to an 84-year-old. Makedish. Yes, Bernie would have been great. He would have been great, but time and tides wait for no man or woman. Yes, numbers are a human construct. The whole thing's a game. It's true. Okay, 707, but then it's also 107 days till the election. So I did 707 strokes, and then later I found out it's 107 days till the election. That's kind of 107, 707. Doesn't mean anything, but oh, and also, boom, I want to plug something. There is a new season of the amazing podcast, the Malcolm Gladwell podcast, called Revisionist History. And there's a new little series on there, or season of it, that's about the 36 Olympics in Berlin. You know, those infamous Olympics. Episode four of this podcast, which came out the other day, my voice is in the episode. Part of what the episode is about is the Olympic ideals. And in 1912, in the Olympics, there was actually a winning epic poem. There was a poem that won. I guess there was a poetry. There wasn't just like swimming and running and decathlon and archery. There was also poetry. So the winning poem was by a French poet, and it was called "O Sport." It's like an ode to sport, the idea of sport, the god of sport. So throughout this episode of Revisionist History, the podcast, you hear me reading in a sort of bombastic. The idea is that the poem is not a good poem. It's a way over the top poem. And so you hear me reading it at various moments in the podcast. It's a really great episode. I recommend the series. It's called Revisionist History, and the new season is called, I believe it's called Hitler's Olympics. So I recommend it, not just because I'm in it, but I recommend it anyway. Okay, moving on. I wrote down a few numbers. Let's see what's on page 47. I'm feeling so positive that this is going to be the change. God help us, someone says. Okay, God help us. Yes, I'll be very glad to have. "1924, this is a 100-year-old song. California, here I come, right back where I started from. California, here I come, right back where I started from. Where bowers of flowers bloom in the sun. Each morning at dawn and birdies sing and everything. A sun-kissed miss said, don't be late. That's why I can hardly wait. Open up that golden gate, California, here I come. Well, I kind of botched that up, but California, here I come. Why was I thinking of California? Well, Bashir's was Kentucky and California was Kamala. That was my big thinking. And then I was like, ooh, I'm going to come up with a song for the state that every one of these potential candidates comes from. Didn't happen. California, here I come, right back where I started from, where bowers of flowers bloom in the sun. Each morning at dawning, birdies sing and everything. A sun-kissed mist said, don't be late. That's why I can hardly wait. Open up that golden gate. California, here I come. California, here I come. Wah, wah. Is singing all muscle memory? I think a lot of it is, yeah. There's a lot of that. And then there's, um, oh, yeah. So I heard an interview. I think there was someone who was a guest this weekend on that show, Wait, Wait, Do Not Tell Me, on NPR from Chicago. And she's an Olympic sprinter who has competed in several Olympics, and now she's returning as not to compete, but to, I think, oversee some, I think, some built-in like childcare or daycare thing for the athletes who have kids, if I'm not mistaken. And this time she's going with her family. I believe that's right. So they asked this sprinter that very question. Was They asked her, like, for her, she's a sprinter, so she said like the 400, I guess, is very long for her. The 400, which I guess takes a whole minute, it's a lot of time. So that she has like at 100 meters, she starts thinking, oh God, I'm feeling tired. Whereas, if you're just sprinting the 100, you're already finished. But they asked her that question about muscle memory. Um, and I think, yeah, like sprinting or like swimming, a lot of it is, a lot of it with singing is, I don't know if I would say automatic, but yeah. La 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 la. Oh, Karen, you heard that episode also? Yeah, yeah. She discovered she could run in the ninth grade, and then when she graduated high school, she was in the Olympics. I don't remember her name, unfortunately, but the one thing I found weird about that interview, I'm going to say, is that it's sort of a comedy show, and the hosts, it's like a panel of, it's a host and a panel of comedians, and then the guest. And anything that she said, they all laughed uproariously as though she had said something hilarious. It was very weird. Everything she said, she was like, yeah, I wanted to play basketball, and then I became a sprinter. And they're like, ah, oh, that's so funny. That's hilarious. It's very bizarre. La 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 la. All right. Richard says, calm yourselves. It's going to be okay. All right. I like that. I'll take that. Everything in the valley in Cali, even the everything's in the. Woohoo! Oh, what's up, Dave? Dave in Cali. Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I'm thanking you for your eyes and your ears and your attention. Yeah, I actually, so I sang at San Diego Opera in 2004, I believe. I sang at San Francisco Opera in 2003. And in 1998, I sang at a little theater in Napa called the Jarvis Conservatory. Jarvis was a guy who made his dough. He made a mountain of dough in, I think, fiber optics. And then one of the things he did is he renovated a winery, and then he founded a theater devoted exclusively to zarzuela, which is the late 19th century Spanish operetta genre. which was all the rage in Madrid back in the day, around the time of Gilbert and Sullivan, I think. In Spain, they had their own, um, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a mania, but they were really into operetta. So we did a show the time I was there in '98. It was called La Verbena de la Paloma. La Verbena de la Paloma. That was the show, and I played the role of the night watchman. I had a nice scene. And the night watchman would like go around calling out the time and singing while lighting the gas lamps all around town. Anyway, that was I think those were the three gigs I had in California. I don't know if I sang there. Well, I did some comedy also in California, in LA and in San Diego. So I'm a big fan. I think it's a great place. Do we have time for another song? Sure. What's next on our list, on our magic list? Did you ever sing at the top of your lungs? Yeah. I have a joke on my comedy special, which you can watch on YouTube. It's called Thug Thug Jew. Thug Thug Jew. You can watch it on YouTube, or you can stream the audio anywhere. But I have a joke on there. The last 7 minutes of my comedy special are some jokes and material about singing and about opera. And I talk about how Pavarotti was asked, "How do you do it? How do you sing opera?" And he said, this is apropos of Richard's question, did you ever sing at the top of your lungs? And when they asked Pavarotti, "How do you do it? How do you sing opera?" He said, "Well, you yell very loud and then you make it beautiful." That was his quote. You yell very loud and then you make it beautiful. And then I have a punchline, which I won't ruin for you. It'll be a cliffhanger. You have to tune in and you have to watch my comedy special to hear what my punchline is about that. Oh. Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Good evening. Good evening, Max. How you doing? Sing us a song. You're the ukulele man. Sing us a song. Oh, that's a Billy Joel reference. I did hear Billy Joel say he doesn't like playing that song. He doesn't like that song. He kind of disavows that song. He finds it musically a little bit, I think, monotonous or rudimentary. It was an interesting long form interview. It was I think it was Howard Stern interviewing Billy Joel about all of his music. It was very cool. That's Home on the Range, 1871 to 73. Music by Dan Kelly. Words by Dr. Brewster Higley. Dr. Brewster Higley. Okay, let's see if we have one more song in us before we close this out. Oh, where the deer and the antelope play. Now I'm going to skip that song. I'm going to go right to this one. Thank you all for participating. Yes, thank you as well. We're going to go to page 210. Oh, there it is. Page 210. Oh, we ain't got a barrel of money. Maybe we're ragged and funny, but we'll travel along, singing a song, side by side. Don't know what's coming tomorrow. Maybe it's trouble and sorrow, but we'll travel the roads, sharing our load, side by side. Through all kinds of weather, what if the sky should fall? Just as long as we're together, it doesn't matter at all. When they've all had their quarrels and parted, we'll be the same as we started, just a traveling along, singing a song, side by side. Just a traveling along, singing a song, side by side by side. My mom sang this in a play, and I love this. Yeah, that's a nice song. Side by side. Good night, everybody. I am Ethan. This is the No Show. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm here every night at 9. That is Side by Side by Harry Woods, who spent some of his life right here on Cape Cod. Harry Woods, a blessed memory, who lived from 1896 to 1970. All right, everybody. Sleep well. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow.